Selamat petang, good evening to all of us, to all of you watching today. My name is Ferdy. This is Sembang Carlist, and today the $61,000 question is: should I buy the Perodua Ativa or not? So I'm sure you all saw the launch yesterday. You've all seen all the specs, all the variants. There's been a lot of hype. I think this is quite easily the most hyped up launch of the first quarter, maybe of the year. Tak tahu lagi. But I think suffice to say, we were all very pleased with the prices that you saw. Harga rakyat, harga mampu milik with ASA 3.0. Rasa kita nak compare dengan competition dia yang lain, tak ada yang there's nothing that comes close, tak ada yang standing dengan what Perodua offers. Now, we've had one of our own, Arvind, who was at the media preview for the Ativa. He got to drive the Ativa, he got to feel the trimmings of the Ativa, he's put his hands on the Perodua Ativa lah. Okay, so he's gonna give us the lowdown and help us answer the question of should we buy or not buy the Perodua Ativa. And maybe those of you who have been waiting for 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, mungkin nak tukar selera, tukar cita rasa pun boleh. But just before I bring Arvind on, we will show you first. We will show you first the video of the Perodua Ativa and enjoy this. And there you have it. That was the introduction of the Perodua Ativa. And just before I bring Arvind on, if you have any comments, ada sebarang pertanyaan yang nak dijawab, tolong letak dekat komen. We will get to it. Yang dah buat booking tu, bagi tahu kita booking dah buat untuk variant apa dan kenapa anda book Ativa, ya. Okay, so without further ado, I will add Arvind, my colleague, to the screen. There you go. Arvind is here. Arvind, we cannot hear you. I believe you're on mute, Arvind. There you go.
Hello, hello. Thank you for
Hello,
having
hello,
me.
hello. Oh, Mr. Lee James, it's not got no sound. Are you sorry, lah, bro? Technical error. Tak apa. It's okay. Next time we will
Can
get to that.
can check out the Facebook video, bro.
Yes, you can
That one got
check the
nice audio.
Facebook. Yes, correct. What we'll do is that I will put that in the link, and then you can check it out there in the link for a better video. But do that later lah. Okay, don't do that now. For now, stay with us and let's get to the first question. Okay, now this one contentious question is been all around social media. Rakyat Malaysia kita biasalah. The moment we see anything that is mirroring something from the Japanese, the first assumption immediately is that it is a rebadge. They just change the badge, they change this, they change that. Okay lah. So we start off panas-panas sikit lah. So Arvind, is the Perodua Ativa a rebadge of the Daihatsu Rocky? Yes or no? Or
Not at all.
okay,
Perodua was involved with the development of the Ativa right from the outset. So while we are not too, we're not too sure how much of their input went into the platform of the DNGA. So of course, the Ativa is based on Daihatsu new global architecture DNGA platform. Uh, we we do know that Perodua was actively involved together with Daihatsu. In fact, there was a large number of engineers that were stationed in Japan with Daihatsu to develop the car. So this is not a rebadge in any way, shape, or form because um, you know I I shan't say anything as a rebadge these days because you have to uh, the Perodua decided on this model, give or take, I think maybe 2017, So like
right,
how do you go and tell them like, hey bro, don't worry, you make the car. 2021 comes, I just change the logo and all that. No, it's far from that. So they were involved with the how would I put it, the top hat, or basically what we see as okay. So we have the base of the cake, right, which is the
sure.
DNGA. Then what is the body that goes on to it? So the DNGA has spawned other models, and it is going to spawn up to 21 models according to Daihatsu. So the Ativa is maybe one of two, three, maybe that we might get from Perodua. So this is okay. So you got the base, but
Right.
Perodua actively involved with the design, the development of the the body of the Rocky and slash Ativa. So another small note is the Ativa is actually 80 mm longer. So it's 88 cm longer front and back. This is down
Don't have
to
the exact same dimensions. Yeah.
say again. Say again.
No, they don't have the
So
exact same dimensions, right?
no, they don't. And the in fact the Rocky Daihatsu Rocky, the rear door was actually sort of designed by Perodua because Perodua told them like, hey, dude, you need a longer, you need a wider door because people need to get in and out easier. So therefore, we need to
Right.
kind of adjust the design, and that's way beyond a rebadge exercise. So they were involved at the very outset of the development.
Yeah, and the rear door of the Ativa is also not similar to the door of the Rocky.
No. In terms of the material, the Rocky's
Yes.
rear door is actually made from a plastic composite, whereas the Ativa's door is made from steel. So there might be different considerations why they did that. But yeah, that's one difference. The fact that the Ativa is 80 mm longer than the Rocky, that's another difference.
Okay.
Another difference is the Ativa comes with a full size spare tire, regardless of the size, whether it's 16 or 17. It's a full size spare tire, no space saver. What I understand is the Rocky actually doesn't come with a space saver either. It comes with a tire repair kit. So maybe that has for their market that's fine. But for us, because we balik kampung and then suddenly tire punctured, takkan nak
Potholes,
towing
bro.
kereta,
Pothole.
potholes exactly. So these are
Ah,
things where Perodua from the outset they say, hey, we gotta have a spare tire. It's not a case of like just sangkut tepi jalan tire repair kit. What if it's a big pothole? So
yeah,
these are
exactly.
where they have thought from the beginning, like, hey, dude, I need to develop this car that makes it suitable for Malaysian buyers, and
Correct.
I need to integrate these certain things because I know these things are popular with my buyers. So they had a very good say from the start. The best way put is Perodua don't work for Daihatsu. Perodua work
Correct.
with Daihatsu. So they have a say. They can say, "Hey, dude, I wanna do this a bit different," or "I think this is not gonna work. That's gonna work." So that's where you
Right.
don't
Is
call
it
it a
is it
rebadging exercise.
right? So is it fair to say then that the Rocky and the Ativa was sort of built in tandem with each other, next to each other, incorporating expertise from both Produa and Daihatsu?
Yes, there was definitely Perodua expertise involved. In fact, we hear there were 50 engineers that were stationed in Japan with Daihatsu, developing this as the model progressed through its development phase. But uh, what was the other side of the question? It was is it the
No, so it developed in tandem. So both the Ativa and the Rocky was developed in tandem, incorporating expertise, of course, from both Daihatsu and Produa.
yes, most definitely. And the other thing is, we tend to say it's a rebadging exercise because the Rocky came out first. Of course, given that Daihatsu bought the platform, so they might and they might be able to launch in certain markets faster. That's up to them. And Perodua has to fit in this because, of course, yes, they have the platform, they have
Yeah.
the body. Let's say the car is already total. Okay, this is something that we can work with, but we still have to tune it for Malaysian roads. We still have to tune it for Malaysian fuel. We still kind of have to add a certain few things. We need to decide on the color, things, and all that. So the thing is, when people say it's a rebadge because a car is introduced by another manufacturer first, when you take it and you introduce it a second, a bit later, oh, therefore I copied you. No, it's not the
Yeah,
case.
so it's a first to market conundrum, lah. Just because you
Yes,
gone first to market, the person coming in second is now considered as the copycat.
yes. So if Beats Audio came back with with those big ass um,
Headphones, yeah,
headphones,
yeah,
Sennheiser does it. Oh, it's they copy Beats. No, Sennheiser know their own stuff.
yeah,
And they build very good headphones as well. So
right.
that's the case. It's not a case of uh, just because Rocky came out first or the Toyota Race came out first that it's a rebadge. No, it was a joint effort,
Right.
and Perodua introduced it when they wanted to introduce it. So yeah.
Right. So how does this all tie in then to Produa's smart bill? Because we know that Produa have now gone on to sort of like their 3.0, Produa 3.0, and that is now being called Produa Smart Bill. So how
Smart
does this
build.
sort of tie into Produa's smart build?
Okay, so Perodua Smart Build or Transformation 3.0 is sort of how they're going to market themselves to the world. So uh, looking back at Perodua's milestones as as they progress through the years, is they started off with, okay, so you can call it rebadging, Daihatsu Miras and Kores and things like that, Daihatsu Move and all that. And then along the way, they have developed their own skill sets, they develop their own abilities and everything. So now they are saying, okay, how can we market ourselves to the world? Because exporting a car is not necessarily a very lucrative business, because you want to take a fully completely built car up.
Yeah.
Not a lot of governments want to bring that in, because they'll be like, hey, why? Because are you going to help us, our workforce? Are you going to create jobs and all that? So there's a much bigger picture.
Of course.
And there are also prohibitive laws and legislation and policies and taxes and things like that, which you wanna by the time you sell your car, it's already worth more than a lot of other cars.
Yeah,
And
yeah. You can't price it competitively, which is what you want to do anyway.
correct. So the certain markets that Perodua participate in, I mean, export markets like if I'm not mistaken, Sri Lanka, Fiji Islands, they're very small markets, but uh, maybe in those markets they're not so like, hey, okay, we're not so hung up on building our own national car, or having, as long as there is a presence, there is attainable mobility in terms of cars, we're okay to help you come in, and of course boost the economy and everything. But in most cases, most developed countries, most developing countries do not want you to just simply go and sell a car there. They employ
They
different
want
tactics.
that transfer of expertise, I suppose, to build up the local skill sets as well, and not just to just bring in cars and sell.
Yeah, so that's the easy way out. So
Yeah,
Perdua, and I'm sure a lot of car companies realize this. So that the thing is, if you're a local manufacturer with a very very strong local presence, now how do you make yourself more appealing? How do you build the business beyond just selling cars to Malaysians? So if you cannot sell the cars, why not sell the talent? Why
correct.
not sell components? Why not create the best components in terms of quality and price and everything? And then, hey, I take it and put it in your Russian-made car, or
Yeah,
take our engineers. They know how to create and start up a plant and get it running beautifully. So if you cannot export the car, export the talent. So that's the basis of Perodua Smart Build, which is to create the cultures, to create the platform, it's to create the mindset of, hey, now we're going to think global. So if you look back at how Perodua has progressed through the year, they started off with just wanting to build cheap cars that are attainable, that people would love, and at least provide mobility. That was the early days in terms of the
yeah,
Kanchil, Kalisa, and even the Gambara. And then they focused on quality. So they want to build quality. They want to build overall value. Like how do I keep this car? And so now you buy Perodua in Transformation 2.0 was buy a Perodua, it'll last. You take care of it, it'll last forever. So
yeah.
that built that brand, that trust in that brand, and now they're going to take it further. So that's Perodua Smart Build, and that's their third generation transformation.
Okay, now I think we have to go into the question that probably many people who have not yet had their hands, or who've not yet seen the Ativa face to face, they're like, what does it feel like to drive the Perodua Ativa? I mean, you've driven many cars throughout your journey here, or your work experience here at
Yep,
Carlist.my.
yep, yep.
So what was the Ativa like to drive? Did it live up to the hype? Did you leave thinking like, damn, I gotta have this in my porch, or was it like,
Oh, dude,
hangat-hangat
I
lah,
got
ya, ya.
it. No, this car definitely lives up to the hype. In many ways, uh, you know me. I love the cheap cars. I love the cheaper cars. I'm not saying they're cheap. They're not cheap for me, but I love the cheap cars because they do so much with so little. So this car definitely lives up to the hype. I mean, I was actually during the preview for that were given to the media. I was the first person to sit in the car. So that was the for me, I was like, I don't know why, but like, oh, Mr. Arvind, please you can take car number one. I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Of course we have no photos and all that to substantiate that, but yeah, I was the first one in it. The moment I got in, you immediately I remember it was a silver unit, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the paint code, but I got in immediately. I was comfortable, So the seats were supportive. The driving position was good. It felt like it would wrap around you very well. I loved
So,
the
so just
gearbox.
just for reference, what
Mhm.
is your height? How tall are you?
I am 6 feet, exactly 6 feet,
Okay.
182 cm thereabouts. Yeah.
Okay. So and you felt that being 182 cm, you didn't feel cramped. It wasn't too tight for you.
No, no, not at all. Of course, okay, this car is not the widest car in the world. Okay, so therefore
Sure.
you have a smaller center console and everything. But in terms of your leg room, your hip room, the seating position, in terms of the posture and being able to reach out to the wheel and the controls and what you need, yeah, it felt very easy to get used to. I just kind of, if I'm not mistaken, I think I just pushed the seat back, got the steering wheel at the right angle because note that it's not telescopic, so it only
Yeah.
goes up and down. So I just kind of got the position that I wanted, and
Okay.
yeah, it was very easy. It's very well thought out, the
Okay.
dashboard
So
design and everything.
right. So we've discussed this, you and me, because we both faced the same issue. Now, when we drove, and I'm gonna draw a parallel to another big local SUV that was launched this last year. So the Proton X50, right? We
Yeah.
felt right that there was no thigh support. So if you were driving it for long periods of time,
Hmm.
your legs would get tired. You would feel like it was just too short, right? It didn't give you that sufficient support along the seat, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
to give you that total comfort. Is
Yeah.
that something that you found with the Ativa as well?
Of course, the time I had with the car was very limited. I think I drove the car for about 10 minutes or so.
Sure.
In that time, I didn't feel any strain. I didn't feel like I was uncomfortable and all that. So, in that sense, I think the thing with the X50 is that while the driving economics are good, everything is so well mapped out. The It's the thigh support that sort of it's down to the position of the seats, if you will.
Of the
So
seat.
I mean,
Yeah.
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 So what you want is a seat or a seat bottom that actually arcs upwards. So because it comes to meet your thigh, because your legs not
Exactly.
exactly straight, right?
Yeah,
Your
you're
legs
sort
not
of falling
exactly.
back into the
Yeah,
right.
I want to fall into my seat, and I want to have my butt at the lowest level and my hip lower. So the X50 tends to be sort of very flat. That's my, more or less my only criticism of the car. I mean, I love the X50 as well. So uh, that is sort of, it might not work for taller drivers, but maybe not so tall drivers might not find a problem with it. But it's just something that I feel uh, you know, it's one of those things that it's one of those things that it's a you can call it intricacy or maybe something that could have been done better, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. I
So,
must also I must also say this the particular seat. I mean, visually, it looks proper high end, no?
oh damn, oh yeah, yeah, it's really good. The padding is soft. I love that they put that sort of a fabric, Alcantara slash suede or whatever, call it what you want.
Right,
It adds
right.
so much detail. I love fabric seats, so I'm not the biggest fan of leather seats and
Leather
everything. So
seats, especially in
yeah,
this weather. Yeah, no, no, I
exactly. Like give
agree.
me
I
give me
concur.
fabric seats with a yes, fabric or suede Alcantara with because it's got texture.
Yes,
There
yes,
is that
yes.
certain touch and feel to it. So I love that they put it in a place where it's not going to get too much wear and tear. So they've left the leather to sort of be at the hard points where your body's going to contact it, but leave the aesthetics of the suede and everything at the side. So this is the first thing you kind of see when you get in. So I think it's a really nice touch what Perodua did with this.
Okay. Now the
Yeah.
driving dynamics. Okay, like I said, so you've driven the Proton X50. Obviously, you've driven many other cars. You've driven many other SUVs, the Honda HR-V, the BR-V, you name it. Now, how does the Activa driving dynamics wise compare against some of its, I say, more prominent
Established
siblings or
rivals.
rivals? Yes, that's the right term, rivals.
Well, it, you okay? While I drove it, I had four main sort of challenges, shall we call it? So I had a
Sure.
I had a long straight where I could get up to speed and get the car up to somewhere a bit faster. I
Yep.
had a long bank turn. I had a few small corners like how you will be in your taman lah, and then you
Right.
had a nice elevated hill climb. So uh, in terms of driving dynamics on the straight, this car is so good between 50 and 120. My golly gosh, lah. 1 liter and this thing really moves, it really moves. I mean, like, for me, it's okay. It's not a Porsche 911, lah, but it's so adequate. It's so adequate, and
Yeah. Especially in stop and go city traffic.
perfect, perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
this car gets up to speed. It gets up to 50 km so fast because the
Yeah.
CVT does such a great job of giving the engine that flexibility to start moving. And then when you get up to 50, it kind of gets stronger. And the thing is that people overlook, right? Yes, peak torque is 140 newtons at 2004, but
Yeah.
at about 1005, 1006, you already have 120 newtons. So it doesn't wait to develop that. That
Exactly.
power is there. So you have that nice force when you wanna get going.
Right.
It feels effortless.
So we've established that it's got the power low end. So I mean, from start to go to 50, perfect, right?
Yeah, yeah,
What about
yeah.
if you're now looking at maybe when you're at 17, you want to get to maybe 120? What's the delivery like then? Is it as linear as the low end? Is the mid end
Mm.
as good as the low end?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, like, okay, let 0 to 50. Don't worry, lah. I mean, you don't have to worry even in a MIB, lah. With the 1.5 naturally aspirated, it's good, it's powerful, it's strong. But this car, where I fell in love with it, honestly, where it surpassed my expectations was between 70 and 120. So, like I said, I had a long straight, so I could get the car up to speed and
Floor
like
it.
highways. I
Yeah.
didn't. I really wished I did, but I didn't. So I got it up 70 to 120. It was so easy, so smooth, so seamless. The CVT does well to kind of match the power output and the top loads of the engine. It was no drama, no drama. Just gets up 70, 120 very fast. Now that's in
Okay.
normal mode. If I
Sure.
add in, so they have a power button on
Power
the
button.
on
Yeah.
the on the steering wheel. You hit that. I don't know if anyone else did this, but I had the car sitting at about, let's say, 55, 60 km, and I kind of, okay, I looked at my revs. So it's 2000 RPM, 60 km. The moment I hit the power button, the rev jumped up to 3000. So what it's doing, it's
Oh.
essentially dropping a gear already. It's
Yeah.
dropping
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
gear. It's kind of like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then the display changes. It becomes yellow, and you're like, ooh, okay,
Sport mode. Sport
let's
mode.
do
Yeah.
this. So then
Okay.
it did it even faster. It didn't. It was more. Like I said, it's not a 911, but yeah,
Of
it picked
course.
up
Of
much
course.
faster. I don't see anyone buying this car using it in the city, using it on the highway, and feeling like, oh no, I need more power, or no, I need a four cylinder. Never. This car
Okay.
is very well tuned, very well tuned.
Right. So, so having spent obviously you only spent a limited amount of time with the car while you were there driving it, right? Driving
Yeah,
it
yeah.
or testing it, listening to all photo I had to share. But how do
Mhm.
you think the car is gonna age based on the materials that you felt were in the car, the seats, the trim, even the turbo engine? Really, I mean, this is a new frontier for
For
Produa.
Perodua,
This,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is the first turbocharged engine they've had in all their fleet of vehicles. So
Hmm.
how do you think that's going to age down the road? Do you foresee any potential roadblocks with regard to maintaining the engine or
Hmm.
even some of the trim? I mean, we both of us drive Conti cars. BMWs are known as biscuit. They say biscuit trim, the older BMWs at least, right? Do you foresee that being an issue with Produa, or because of their localization, they've tackled that issue and they're not going to face it?
I think the best way to answer this is take any 10, 12-year-old maybe, and I can guarantee you all the body panels are right there where they should be. Yeah, there will be squeaks and rattles and everything, and of course, the car is 10, 15 years old. I mean, you take away 5 years from us, and then how how much better were we, right?
Yeah.
But you know, NVH, noise insulation, having the right better materials and everything has been as a core focus of the Ativa. So personally, when I felt the dashboard, I felt the leather steering wheel. Like I said, the suede and the leather, everything felt very well put together. The panographs were fine. I mean, yeah, of course, if you look lower, you're going to see like some plastics that are a bit more scratchy, and they're not so. And if we knock on them, they'll make a tock noise and stuff like that.
Sure.
But that's true in any car.
Of course.
Any whether it be a BMW or a Perodua, they're going to focus on the major touch points. So where you touch and feel and use every day, that those are going to be of a higher quality. But then where they can cut costs lower down where you don't see it, it's
I mean,
they're
out of
going to
sight.
cut costs. Yes, so this is
Yeah.
this is this is true in any case, any car, any manufacturer. So like I said, but where from where I was seated, pedals, switchgear, buttons, down to the gear lever, the touchscreen, the aircon paneling, which is a lot like the MyBee and the Arus and all that. Yeah, everything seemed fine. Will it fare well 10 years down the road? I'm pretty certain because, like I said, you have a track record. You can look at the older Peroduas; they still work fine.
Yeah.
No issues. Coming back to the 1 liter turbo engine now, I mean, having a downsized turbocharged engine, I mean, like we talk about it like it's something new, but I mean, leading manufacturers have been doing it for well over 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
like I still recall Volvo, uh, it was a limited run, but it was the second generation S80, whereby they gave it was a 1.6 tri turbo, triple turbo, so it was some compound turbocharging method, and it was black magic, lah. But a 1.6 liter powering a 2-ton car. So
Sure.
downsizing is there's nothing new about it, and this car is not even that heavy. It
Yeah.
weighs just about a ton.
Yeah. Right.
So and with the output of the engine, which is very healthy, it's very punchy. The
Yeah.
other thing to look at is Daihatsu have been turbocharging cars for well over 20 years, well over 20, maybe even 30
Right.
years. So it's not something that's foreign to them. They understand turbocharging very well, as do Volvo. Those are car companies that they've always been centered around turbocharging. So
Yeah.
Daihatsu know their stuff. So uh, is it going to be reliable? Hell yes, I think so.
Okay, we've got a question here from Navindran, who's been very attentive to what we've been discussing today. I'm just going to pull up the question. Give me one moment. Okay, bro, how does it handle on slippery roads? I don't think we've had the chance to try it on a slippery road yet. Correct?
Not that I have.
Yeah,
I slippery roads like okay. I do know it comes with very good tires. I'm not sure if it has
it's the
more than
Turanza.
one. Yeah, Turanza. So
Yeah,
British
Christian Turanza.
Turanzas on a car this size, you're in good hands. So I don't know if they have other manufacturers of tires and all that, but I can safely say that having experienced many British Turanzas on many cars, they're really good. So. Uh, then it comes down to the
To all
the
the
active
active
safety.
safety.
Exactly,
Yes.
right. So you have your VSC and your ABS and things like that to keep you
Yeah.
safe. And then more to that, you have your ASA 3.0 functions, which is like your lane departure warning and all that. I mean, of course, the key, no technology will cure stupidity. So,
Oh, of course, of course, of
always
course.
have your wits about you. I mean, if it's wet and or the roads are greasy or wet, just kind of slow down. But I can assure you, it handles very well. It's a very competent car. It feels very balanced, front to back, side to side. In fact, another thing I maybe forgot to note is that I had this long bank corner, so the road kind of banks like that. So I was on there. I was doing about 80 km, 90 km. Maybe I got up to about 100, and the car just set so beautifully. It was not. It was not. wallowing. It wasn't like front to back pitching and everything. So it
It's
just felt
planted,
very
right?
planted. Yeah, very planted. For a car of its size, its weight, felt very planted.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is the Solan Cepu Masla, okay? Because this is while we're clear that both these two SUVs live in different segments,
Yeah,
right? They don't live in the same segment, but you can't help it because I mean you can't help cross shop perhaps because the top spec of one and the open or the bottom spec, the low spec of the other sort of reside in the same price bracket,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But if it were up to you, since you, like I said again, you've driven both. I've not had the privilege of driving the the Perodua Ativa just yet, right? But if you were in the market for a mid-sized SUV, right? So between the X50 and the Ativa, which one would you go for?
Can I sell both my BMWs and have an X50 and an Ativa? I
Oh,
think.
yeah, I think you answered the question then.
I think that'll be the wiser choice down the line because yeah, okay, enough about BMWs. We love them, but yeah. uh, see, I, they're two different cars. Okay, yes, they are
Right.
both B segment. Yes, one is bigger than the other. One is more premium than the other. I dare I say it. Uh, of course, the X50 is built to go against the HRV and the Subaru XV and all that. So it has to do a bit more. It has to give design. It has to give safety. Now we know not much in it because the Ativa does the same.
Yes.
So, but in terms of design, drivability, power, material, the X50 does amazingly well. They're both amazing cars, and as Malaysians, I think we should all be so happy that we
Lucky
have
to
cars
live
like
in
this.
that line. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, and I think
uh,
that's what I always like to go back to. I mean, forget the point or forget the question of whether it's a rebadge or I mean, call it whatever you want.
yeah,
Are we not lucky to be living at a time where
yeah,
we have options like the X50, the Ativa, even the Almera Turbo for to throw that into the mix at prices that are so much more accessible to the middle income
yeah,
Malaysian.
yeah, yeah. So, uh, I know. I'm trying to think of a time where I hark
Where
back to
we
the
had
times I
these
was.
many options, yeah, at
Yeah, yeah,
these options, these prices, and these features,
yeah.
at all come together. I mean, I can't think of a time where we were spoiled for choice like this.
I think even if you go back to just beyond our secondary days, lah, bro. I mean, you and me are about the same age. I mean, so if we're talking about maybe, let's say 2000, like year 2000, right? I remember when you would have the local cars that are between like say 30,000 and 55,000, let's say.
Yeah,
Of course, Proton had the Pradana at the time and all that, and that was an amazing car. But
yeah,
you, for the majority of most rakyat or harga mesra rakyat, you had like 30 to about 55K, and then you go up a notch to where the Japanese cars, the cheapest Japanese cars at the time, I remember the Nissan Sentra, that was like about 80K,
80K.
and
Yeah,
then you get the Honda City, which was a bit more, and then and there was this huge price gap, between like 50 and 100K, and there was nothing there. There was nothing at all there. So I mean, look at it now. It starts off with the Saga and the Axia and the Beza, and then you go up to your Myvi and your Kia Picanto and all that. So many options there, and then you go up. And now you got the Ativa that kind of plugs the gap, that
yeah,
52 to 60 plus or 70 if you will. And then you've got cars like the City and the Vios, which are now even cheaper than they were last time. So
yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
you've got that whole 50 to 100K market so well served now. You're spoiled for choice. I understand this, which is why I think maybe we're back at this question. So yeah, X50 is a slightly more premium product. It has design. It has of course, the materials, the leather they use, and all that, they'll all be different, right? It'll be
Are you
better.
gonna give us a straight answer, or are you gonna go along the go along the bush?
Okay, okay. I would say I do I have to pick one? Do I have to
Okay,
pick
so
one?
if it were me, okay, so and this is coming from a person who's not driven the Ativa, but who has had extensive, not maybe not extensive, but who's had his fair time behind the wheel of an X50, lah.
Ah,
There's a lot going for the X50, like you said.
it's
I
amazing,
mean, I
amazing car.
it is. I mean, and for a lot of the needs that I would need for me and my family of three, it ticks all the boxes, right?
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
think if I were asked this question today, I would go for the Ativa purely based on the price point. I'd
Yeah.
go for the A variant purely based on the price point and the fact that it comes with ASA 3.0 and a smaller engine, which again means the road tax is a bit more affordable. Not by much arguable, seriously, but those are some of the reasons why I would pick the Ativa over the X50.
Uh, Perfectly valid. Perfectly valid. Because I'm okay. If we're looking at that sort of like bracket where it's very close. You're looking at the Ativa AV versus
Yep,
the X50 standard.
standard.
So
Yeah,
of course, at that level, the Ativa AV will give you the ASC 3.0. It'll give you the leather seats. It'll give you the reverse camera, everything.
yeah.
Although the standard is also very well equipped, it probably won't have all the
All the
gizmos of
bells and
the
whistles. Yeah,
bells and
exactly.
whistles of the executive and the premium.
Yeah,
So and the sorry, premium flagship. Okay, but
flagship.
yeah, so that that's that that's that cost comparison, I suppose. So
Yeah,
really, that kind of gives you the answer. Like you want this, the slightly more, uh, the different design, the premium sort of ethos of the X50, or do you want the spec? Do you want the equipment? Do you want the but you're willing to settle for a smaller size, you're willing to settle for
yeah,
a smaller room, and
yeah,
that's the answer.
yeah.
Personally, both cars would fit me better, but I'm I don't know. I'm thinking that, again, back to cost, what I would be able to afford, I would probably have to go for the Ativa. So in that sense, if in
Yeah,
not so many words, I think that's what I would.
yeah,
But
and
if
I
I
think
had
that
more, then I'd be.
yeah, but that's I think a valid point. Like, and it's interesting that both of us said Ativa mainly due to price point, because I think in general it's fair to say that many Malaysians shop based on price point first, right? So they know
Yeah.
what they can afford. Like this is the ceiling upon which I can go, and
Yeah.
what's the best bang for buck I can get there, right? And
It true.
when I ask that question, and if I'm looking for an SUV, obviously, then the answer is quite obvious that it is the Ativa over the X50.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you need a small SUV, the Ativa and the X50 are designed for small families and
Yeah,
your urban professionals and young execs and all that. They work. They both work. They'll both be reliable. They're both nice to drive. They're both powerful. Of course, the X50 is more powerful, but yeah, um, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. In fact,
with either one. Yeah,
what I've been hearing and what I've like from our Facebook readers and I've been on social media, let's say, is people are torn now between getting a City and an X50 or a Vios and an Ativa. That's a
ex-
bigger question. So
exactly,
like,
exactly.
do I do I all those cars are good. But I
Yeah,
love the City. I love the Vios. All those cars are good, but what really kind of tugs on my heartstrings now, because if you told me a Vios, I would like, I like the Vios. The
yeah.
City is, again, the king of space, the king of value,
Which,
and
which which again I think points to the fact that the Team Malaysia, right, Proton and Produa, has elevated the options that they've brought to the market that they're giving us. That
yeah,
clearly, like you said, we are now considering the X50 over the City, or the X50 versus the Vios, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, crikey, you
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
mean,
This is what I was
whether
trying to
that,
say.
yeah, whether that consciously came about or not, you do realize that there is now that people are not, they're no longer laughing at the fact that you can put the X50 next to the Honda City.
Yeah,
It's not
because
a joke.
when
It's not a joke.
when
Exactly.
else was there a comparison between a city or a Honda for the matter and a B segment SUV from Proton? So, there are a lot of options. The thing is, at the very core, Malaysians shop down to a price. A lot of people go down to their SA or their, they go down to Perodua. They say, bang, saya ada 500 lah bang, satu bulan saya boleh bayar 500.
Yeah.
Apa kereta saya boleh beli?
Yep.
So it's down to that. It's like, what do you? Okay, let's say I got the 5 or 6 thousand for down payment and whatnot. It's down to, can I afford it on a monthly basis? Can I afford to fuel it? Can I afford to change the tires? Can I afford to service it at Perodua, Proton, or Honda, Toyota, whatever?
Yeah.
That's all it is. I keep telling people, forget about segments, forget about SUV and this one and all that. Can you afford it? And is
Yeah.
it the right car for you? That's all. It's
Correct.
just these two things,
Yeah. I mean, end of the day, it's tepuk dada tanya selera lah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in
On
that
that
case, yeah, Ativa is priced amazingly.
on that note, we have not yet gotten our hands on the Ativa, as is probably knowledge, something everybody knows by now. It was just launched yesterday. So we are waiting, obviously. Everybody in the team is waiting to get their hands on the Ativa to loan it, to drive it, to experience it. So the moment we do that, then we'll be able to maybe come back to you guys and share a bit more in depth of anything that we may have found that wasn't working as it should, or even if, like Arvind is saying, it is the best bang for buck, the best value for the money
Yeah.
for an A segment SUV, right? Uh, we will definitely come back to you to share that. But for this evening, again, we thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the feedback that you've given us, for spending your Thursday night with us. Till the next Sembang Carlist, this is Ferdy, and this is
Arvind,
signing off. Take care. Thanks, guys. Take care. Ciao.
bye.